kick.
Got a biscuit, got a biscuit. You don't got a biscuit, no biscuit. Cut your biscuit, cut your biscuit. You got a snow biscuit, wow. Oh, got a biscuit, got a biscuit. You don't got a biscuit, snow biscuit. Get a biscuit, get a biscuit. You got a snow biscuit, wow. Oh.
Hi guys, welcome back to another one. And if you're a returning subscriber, you are my sugar, spice, and everything nice. So what's on the menu today is injera. And injera is native to Ethiopian. It's an Amharic word that means Ethiopian flatbread, basically. And it's made from a small grain that has been milled. And the name of the grain is teff, and it resembles a wheat grain. And it's a very tiny grain. It's grown in Ethiopia mostly, and it's milled into a flour that is called teff flour. So this flour here in Nairobi, Kenya, we find it in Ethiopian shops. I've heard of shops in Italy that sell this teff flour, Ethiopian shops, guys, in specific. And a kilo of this teff flour goes for 200 shillings, and it varies from 200 to about 400 shillings. And mine, I got it from an Ethiopian shop somewhere on Gong Road. So there are so many Ethiopian shops around Nairobi. And if you're outside Nairobi, you can also order it. And I know they can deliver it to you. So how I came to find out about injera, I visited a restaurant here in Nairobi. It's called Habesha, or there's another one along Karen that's called Asmara, and they do injera very nicely. And I grew to love it because the first time I had it, I didn't really enjoy it, but with time, I enjoyed the taste. And fermented foods are very good for our gut. So as you all know, here on this channel, we strive to bring healthy foods, and we strive to make them as easy as possible here at home. So I have just the recipe for you guys. If you don't have teff flour, don't sweat it. You can also use all-purpose flour and just use yeast to ferment it, since it's fermented flour. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'll be fermenting my teff flour, but I want to add some rice, because if you have visited these Ethiopian restaurants, there are two types of injeras. They have brown injera and they also have white injera. So I did my research and I found out that the brown injera is made from brown teff flour, which looks like this. It's a fine grain like texture. It's quite fine, guys. So in the Ethiopian restaurants, they use teff to make the brown injera, and they use rice flour to make the white injera. So I decided to mix them up. I've done this before in my kitchen, guys. This is not the first time I'm making it. Here in the Snow Basket kitchen, we try and spice things up. We have white rice, and you can buy this from the supermarket, guys, or you can use any other rice that you have. It should work. And if you don't have teff flour, you can still use all-purpose flour. The regular flour that you have, the white flour, just toast it on your pan slightly, because it adds a very nice texture to it. It also makes the injera, the end product of the injera, taste very good, guys. And you can also add fenugreek seeds. These you can find from any shop. I bought mine from the market, the local market. And these you're not going to be using them in this stage, guys. So for starters, we're going to make a starter. We ferment the teff flour by adding about a cup or 2 cups of water, depending on your measurements or depending on your serving. From the teff flour that I'm going to ferment, we'll make a total of about 8 to 10 injeras, which are quite a good size, like this size, guys, or bigger, depending on your pan. There's a pan that Ethiopians use, and here you can get it in Italy. So next time, guys, I'm making this video, I'll be sure to have gone and bought the pan. But for now, you use what you have. First, we're going to make a starter using this teff flour, and I'm going to mill my rice as well. and combine them into a starter. So how we make this starter is by adding our teff flour, about a cup, and I'm using the standard measurement of a cup, which is 250 ml. So this is the standard size. And I'm going to be adding warm water into that mixture. I'm going to add it and stir it until we get a smooth paste that is a little runny, not too thick, needs to be a little runny. And we're going to cover it, seal it, I'll be using this container. We're going to seal it tight and put it away undisturbed for 3 days to ferment. And once it's fermented, we'll come back and make the injera.
So here we start by milling our rice. I had some brown rice and I'm just putting it in my mill. I'm going to mill a cup of brown rice and a cup of white rice, and then I'm going to mix them together. I'm going to add them to form our starter. So here I milled my rice for about 5 to 10 minutes, both my white rice and my brown rice, until the texture is very smooth and there are no lumps left. So here I'm just sieving it using a fine sieve to remove the residue of the rice particles. And I'm going to repeat the process with the white rice. If your blender has sharp blades, it can do this too, but I'm using the mill for my blender. And I'm milling the rice in portions because we don't want to fill it up too much. So here I milled both my white and my brown rice into a fine flour, and I'm just sieving them and mixing them together in a bowl. So here I'm just sieving it to achieve a fine flour, and it came out very well, guys. But if you have rice flour, you can skip this process. You can just use rice flour, and you can also use just teff for this. Just that I wanted to vary it a little and add some rice and teff flour, but if you have teff, you can use teff on its own. But for mine, I'm using rice and teff together. So I put a cup of the milled rice and a cup of teff flour into our container. Our container is about 2 liters. And here I'm just mixing the flours together, and I'm just going to add my warm water slowly by slowly and start kneading it using my hand until not a mixing spoon is because this flour has some lumps, and if you use a spoon you won't get them. So using your hand makes it easier, so you can feel the lumps and break them with your hands. I've watched Ethiopians do this and they use their hands as well, but you can also use a blender. But if you ask me, I think the hand works much better. So in total I used 3 cups of flour combined, the brown rice flour, white rice flour, and the teff flour, and I used a total of about 6 cups of water to make this into a thin consistency. And I'm just rubbing the sides with some water, and I'm just going to cover this with a polythene bag. You can also use a cling film paper for this. Cover it and set it aside somewhere undisturbed and let it ferment for 3 days. But I left mine for 4 days since I live in a very cold area, so I didn't want to risk it, so I just left it for 4 days. Here I'm just putting it away, and this is 4 days later. Look at that, it has formed some liquid at the top, so we're just going to drain that and put it into a bowl. But we're not going to toss these away. We're going to save it to make the next batch. You can put it in the fridge until you're ready to make the next batch. It can stay in the fridge for up to 3 months, guys. So here I'm just adding my water. I added a total of 8 cups of water using my standard measurement, which is 250 ml. And here I'm just adding in my flour. So I'm adding my Teff flour and the remainder rice that we milled. This made a cup of combined white rice and brown rice flour. So I'm just adding them in here. But the Teff ended up to be more than the rice flour, which is what I wanted. And I found that the rice gave our Teff a very nice texture. It was quite firm. If you use the Teff flour on its own, the Teff or the injera that comes out a little smooth. So I wanted a firm injera. And I mixed it up here with some water to form a thin paste. And here I'm just roasting my fenugreek seeds. The aroma that these things gave out, my goodness. It smells like chicken. So we're just going to mill them. But if you have fenugreek powder, you can still use it. It will save you the milling process. So here I'm just going to mill them, and then I'm going to add them into our injera mixture. And we're going to cover that up again and ferment it for a further 24 hours. So I'm just going to add the fenugreek powder into our injera mixture and stir it up. And we're going to cover this with a cling film or polythene bag again and leave it to ferment for another 24 hours. And we're ready to make our injera after that. So the liquid that we saved in the bowl, and we're going to put it in the fridge, is going to save us this process. So the next time we're just going to use that one. It's our starter. We're just going to add in the Teff flour and the rice flour and ferment it for just 24 hours. It will save us from fermenting it for 3 days. So this is basically the starter. So I'm just putting away my mixture of injera for 24 hours. And this is our starter for the next batch. And I'm just putting it into my fridge. Let's start making our injera. Here I heated my pan on medium flame and I'm just rubbing some oil using a piece of serviette so that to prevent our injera from sticking. And here I'm just pouring in the butter in a circular motion, starting from the outside going in. And this is to prevent our injera from sticking on the pan. You can use any pan that you have that has a flat base. It should work. And once you start seeing these tiny air holes, you cover your injera at this point. Injeras are made using a pan that's called a Mitad. It's an Ethiopian pan, but if you don't have one, you can still use a pan like mine. And at this point, once you see the steam coming from the sides of the tray, just know injera is ready. And I used a spoon and a pot lid to take mine out. And here I'm just repeating the process of pouring the butter. And injera butter should be running at this point. It has some bubbles since it's fermented, and that's how we get the little air holes on the injera. And you need a jug to pour. Ethiopians use a Mitad pan, like I said before, to cook their injera, but I'm using a non-stick pan. And I used a round tray that fitted my pan to cover my injera. It's important to always mix up the butter before scooping to ensure it's well mixed up and some of it doesn't settle at the bottom of the container. I used a spoon to scoop and pour the injera mixture into my jug and then to my pan. It was way easier to measure and also less messier. Guys, this recipe is so easy to make and these ingredients are very easy to find. Just let me know if you try this at home. Like this video, share it, guys, and also don't forget to subscribe and like my video. And let me know once you try this. Tag me or send me a photo on Instagram. Wow, look at the outcome of this. This was so scrumptious and the texture was amazing, guys. So guys, I served my injera with this cabbage salad and some minced beef stew and this Ethiopian shirobot sauce that is very tasty. I'll be sharing a recipe about it very soon. And this was amazing, guys. It was so tasty. It tasted like the real thing. This is how Ethiopians serve it. And they put a boiled egg in the middle. But we'll do that the next time when we make this. I really enjoyed it, guys. Let me know if you try this recipe out. Leave me a comment. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching and see you on my next one.